Hey guys, Philosopher here, and today I'm going to show you the full Darkhold team in action. Morgan Le Fay, Wong, Heartless, Agatha Harkness, and Scarlet Witch, the full team. This is on the test center, so the devs have given me a 7-star team with 4 red stars. They screwed up the ISO in my view, so I changed the ISO to be something that I thought was more reasonable. I'm going to show you, I know some of you may want to look and see what Morgan and Agatha Harkness look like, so I'm going to show you, and this is footage that I've recorded. I'm going to show you the character sheets. I'm going to show you their animations, and I'm going to go right into Arena, and I'm going to test this team against Eternals and Dormammu. I'm going to show you how this team does with Dormammu instead of Scarlet Witch, because since I beat DD5, the devs did put Dormammu on my test center account, so I could show you that as well. You could see how he performs with the team. Obviously, guys, I haven't had much experience playing with the team. I literally just went in, did this, and recorded this, but I think it's pretty interesting. You can see exactly what this team looks like. And so here's Morgan Le Fay. Looks fantastic. You could see at 7 yellow, 4 res, what her stats look like. Very high. This is only, by the way, gear tier 15, not 16, so no teal gear. She's going to be well over 1 million health, you know, when you get, I think, when you get the teal gear on her and get some more red stars. So yeah, I mean, you know, definitely the character model looks great, looks fantastic. Here's Agatha Harkness, the only other character we don't have in game. You can see how she's a little bit more brittle in terms of health. However, she, despite being brittle in health, of course, has a lot of stuff in her kit that keeps her alive. So I'm low enough in the arena here so we get a wide variety of teams. And I deliberately tried to pick some interesting teams to go against. So this is a bunch of arena matches, and I'm going to do my best to sort of walk you through what I did here. So these are all basically players that participated in prior tests, like the Crucible or whatever. Their accounts were copied over. So this is a great example right here of a team without Dormammu, but this is the team that the sort of team that a lot of you are facing in Arena right now. So this is a full Darkhold team. Oh, this has Dormammu. So there you go. So this, you got a Dormammu, and this team also, here we can go back and just take a look at it really briefly. So this team has got, you know, when we look at the team, it's got, you know, teal gear Dormammu, teal gear on both Eternals, on the entire team, on the 7 red stars on both of the Eternals and on Surfer. So this is a pretty impressive team. So all right, so this is the here we're back to the zone in here. So one thing I wanted to see, and I tested it every match, is her ultimate on turn 1, Morgan's ultimate, clears immunity, and I think I speculated at the time that this would be something that would be a Dormammu counter. And really the question is, can she pull this off with herself as a striker without the 50% focus? In retrospect, I probably should have gone back and seen how it did, you know, with her as skirmisher, but you'll see in each one of these how it does. So I go to Dormammu and I try to clear the immunity every single time because it's very much a Dormammu counter. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, what's the text? Because I've never played with these characters before. So I'm like, okay, let's try to do this. So this, by the way, you could see what this does here. Reduces the speed bar of the entire team, clears immunity. You know, this is going to really do a lot of work on Dormammu by putting disrupted slow on him and clearing immunity, and then ability and block a trauma on, for example, on Doom, on you know, on I think Cersei's also a controller. What we'll see here. So notice the resist. So the immunity is not on there. And by the way, that is the animation in 1x speed, so you could see how that works, at least in Arena. And you can also see here how nerfed the Eternals are against them. You basically have that barrier on spawn, tons of barrier, additional max barrier from Morgan, and so basically Icarus can't blast him in the beginning. And so essentially what that ends up meaning is that they can eat that initial blast. There isn't a second wave from Icarus, and then Agatha's going to nerf the Icarus and Cersei, really, the Eternals, really quickly. All right, so this is me using the Heartless ability to. I end up trying to copy and clear the immunity and slow down Dormammu. Yet another resist. Dormammu gets really high resistance when there's Mystics on the field, super high resistance, and so there's going to be Mystics on both sides. So it's an interesting thing because it shows you that Dormammu may still be useful nonetheless. All right, so this is her super move, the Agatha Harkness move, applying stun to basically Hero Mystic Blaster, which is Icarus, Hero Mystic Controller, which is Cersei, applying stun to them and doing all this other stuff, ability energy and whatever that she gets. And you can see all that piercing damage and whatever. So I, once again, keep it in 1x speed because we haven't seen Agatha Harkness in action yet. So there you go. That's what that looks like. Pretty cool animations. And this is giving you a sense of what. So now, by the way, so you can see here, the Scarlet Witch Ultimate has a really nice function here because of the turn order. So she goes right after Agatha, and then she's extending. And so she's going to extend, for example, the stuns, the trauma, everything. So that's really cool. Extending the ability block, extending the stun, extending the trauma. You can see here. So, he's looking at two turns of stun, for example, on Icarus and Cersei, and so forth. Okay. And so now Wong is ability blocked, which doesn't really matter. So I went after Surfer because I figured we could try to kill Surfer. Almost did. And then here, this is her time warp move, which reduces everybody's speed bar to 0. Her passive ends up giving a lot of speed to the team. She also gives the team speed up for 2 turns. So this increases speed gain by 50%. Her passive gives the team a lot of speed. So this is, I think, ends up giving her team a huge speed advantage. And this is really where the turns are the tables are turned even more so on this team. So, and this is once again in 1x speed, so you can see how it works and what it looks like. All right. Get a close-up of that silly Surfer costume. And you could see now, I mean, basically the game's already won here. The match already won. This team's fully buffed. The team, I mean, Dormammu's hiding in stealth. And you got these two with two turns of stun on the Eternals. So they're basically, it's game over for them. And then look at the speed bar, by the way, on this side, all basically filled up, right? And so I'm just looking and seeing, okay, what do these abilities do? Because I never used them before. There you go in 1x speed. And then I've certainly have gotten familiar with this Heartless ability, which is huge damage. One thing I did find, so this, and then here, this is the one that I think I had predicted that this was going to be kind of like Swarm's special, where it essentially is going to try to apply each one of these things in turn, and then if it meets all the resistance checks, which is why I like having her as a skirmisher, she's going to apply slow, stun, and prolong them on the same character. And so that is in fact how it worked. That's how it looked like to me. And so, and then in fact is the case. You could see that there, how much that kind of hurt Doom here. I mean, I probably could have I just basicked here. You didn't need to. Although sometimes in some of the other matches I special just to see kind of how that looked, what that did. So this is supposed to clear negative effects, which you could see. I think it did. It wasn't always doing it. It appeared to me on counters or ISO attacks. So we're gonna have to watch that. So here, by the way, is one thing I will say: the ultimate of Strange, the swirly twirly move with the tentacles. It's harder to set up than I thought. Particularly, you can see against Dormammu. Dormammu survives. He's got all this stuff. You actually want to use this on a character that has lots of buffs and debuffs. So ideally, we'd use it here, but he has stealth. So you just kind of use it on one of these two. It still does a lot of damage, but the characters that tend to get tons and tons of debuffs die. I mean, this is obviously not a first world problem, but and I'm sure in the mirror match won't be this way. But look at the damage anyway, 600 something K. And this is of course just a 4 red Heartless, and then you can just see Agatha Harkness doing her thing. And this team is just, I mean, I did the, the special Scarlet Witch special anyways. This was just me, like, okay, what does a big Wong look like here? How does he look like in action? It's a very large Wong in action. So you got to see that there. Very large Wong. And then here you go. You can just see once again the Morgan Le Fay ultimate. So this is just trivial, right? I mean, you're seeing, I showed you in the beginning, this is a teal gear maxed out team with Dormammu and 7 Red Star Eternal, 7 Red Star Surfer. It was a piece of cake for Darkhold. It just shows you what a level of power creep. That's funny, by the way. You could see that was my, maybe from one of my prior accounts at Black Order. I have so many different test accounts on here. So I was trying to find different types of teams to try this on, just to give you a sense of the power level of this team. When I do these videos where I'm just testing something for the first time that I've never played before, I'm not trying to, I'm not pretending like this is optimized. It's just a sense of when you first try a team, you can see their power level, right? And you want to just see, if the first time I used Cloak and Dagger, I just pressed buttons and they killed stuff, right? You want to say, how good is this team? So here you go against Infinity Watch. This is basically me just trying to figure out, okay, is this team so good that they just erased Infinity Watch? One thing I will say here is Infinity Watch in some ways actually put up to me a little bit more of a battle than the Eternals Dormammu team, just because this team is so hard coded in a kind of a cheesy, cheap way. The Darkhold team is just hard coded to counter the Eternals, right? It's like stun Icarus, stun Cersei, give them, then you extend that, and it's they can't win in that circumstance. Whereas here, the Infinity Watch have a lot of sustainability, and so this match ends up being longer than you might think. Now, obviously, partly because I'm looking at kits and trying to think about how I play the turns, and I'm mindful of the fact that I'm making a video. But one thing you can see here is it's the Infinity Watch sort of hang in there a little bit just because they've got, so many buffs. You could see here, by the way, how devastating that Time Warp move was. That really, set back the Infinity Watch quite a bit. You could see now this team has basically full speed bars. They got a major speed advantage. It's interesting because it doesn't on paper seem like a move that necessarily on its face is gonna give her team a big advantage, because both teams get their health bars or their turn meters down to 0. However, by the way, you could see, look at that Wong move, how it does with all the multiple death proofs is great. But anyways, the Time Warp, I feel like even though it takes both sides to 0, by putting speed up on her team and having the passive that gives speed to her team, her team ends up just way far ahead in the turn meter game. And that's really what ultimately in games like this what matters. And you can see here, once again, having trouble setting up my big swirly ultimate. There aren't a lot of debuffs on the enemy team. Didn't matter, of course, massive damage anyway. But yeah, these ultimately, when new teams are created in Marvel Strike Force, the good ones that they kind of take things to a new OP level often end up being teams that just manipulate speed bar more or better. Okay, you could see here. I mean, obviously this team's got a lot of things going for it. All the barrier, more barrier than any team ever, and with this new max barrier mechanic, and it's got, it's just got so much there, right? So much survivability and all that damage from Heartless. And you can see, by the way, Heartless appears to have, when he's with the full team, a different closing sequence here. At least I think so. I don't know if I've seen that one in the live game without the full team. All right, now I try. You're going to see by the end of the video, I'm going to actually try Dormammu with the team. So I'm basically looking here to try to find something interesting. No one wants to see this team just obliterate Black Order. That's not fun. Okay, so I saw Childers here had a team. So one thing I do here is I'm just screwing around with this. In this one, I sort of make some misplays. You're going to see Childers, who's my captain in my Alliance Pants of Hulk. He had set this team, ages ago here. And you could see that he's got Doom with Dormammu. And that's actually a tough combo, and it's easy to misplay because what Doom can do, you get 2 different lives here because of Dormammu. Everyone gets to be rezzed once. And Doom, of course, has that move where if you don't do things just right, Doom is going to end up, giving all those extra turns to your team. So you see now Doom's got the ability block and Cersei, but once again, we did not clear that disrupt from, clear that immunity from Dormammu, which tells me that Dormammu may have some life in arena. The next match is the one where I end up using Dormammu on this team. So you can see there, by the way, so that did clear it. The Heartless special did clear it from Dormammu. Now Dormammu is in stealth, and now I extend those stuns. So this should be game over here because you do have 2 turns of stun on Cersei and Icarus. Now that you should just, as long as you don't kill them, you could just sort of kill other characters and you're fine. Well, what do? I'm like, okay, I get that I don't need to attack them. I'm like trying to think about what do I want to do. Well, I get so excited about copying positive effects that I do that. Now it doesn't matter. I knew I wasn't going to kill him, but I probably should have gone after a different character there. All right, so then, here we go. Wong is once again, he's stunned. I'm keep going after Icarus, which I think was the wrong strategy here. I think that's safe to say that was a misplay. And then you can see here Dormammu, because he's got these charges, he's flipping my buffs to debuffs because we no longer have safeguard on the team because the safeguard has gone away. And you can see we get the trauma and stun here because of Dormammu and the opposing team. All right. And so I'm like, okay, let's go after Doom. But the thing is, Doom can't be stunned. So this is a misplay. So, oh no, I do go after, okay, never mind. I do go after Cersei because I knew that Doom would clear the stun. But look what happens. Look what happens next. Dormammu does this thing. That's bad. He does his big die thing. And look at that. Doom ults. He clears he clears the stun. Wong is dead. And then suddenly we got the Doom special. And we've got Icarus killing me. So that was my first loss here. It just goes to show that if you misplay, this team does have a chance, but it definitely that the Dormammu Doom combo is really what did the work there, right? Icarus and Cersei were basically down for the count. What I ended up doing was going back against Childers, but instead of Scarlet Witch, I took my own Dormammu. I'm like, this is a reminder of how strong Dormammu is. So this is my own Dormammu. And, it gives you a sense of whether maybe he's better. Now, here's the pluses and minuses of Dormammu. Without Scarlet Witch, you're not going to extend the stun on Icarus and Cersei. But everyone gets to live twice. And he's going to take somebody out of the battle early with a stun that he puts stun and trauma on somebody. And then he has that super ultimate move I called the die move, right? So you could see here, by the way, so now notice his Dormammu doesn't have safeguard. So Icarus was able to flip his immunity into a disrupt. So that's an issue. The enemy could go after him. All right, so here I'm just doing whatever I can to take out Dormammu. I think kind of learning my lesson from the first time. Thinking like, okay, Dormammu is not very good. Let's get rid of him as soon as we can. All right, now we're going to use our big Wong. Large Wong. I don't know why I keep going after Icarus because we do have another life. Oh, there. That's why. Because before I didn't want to put him in stealth and I wanted to get him. I thought I was going to get him out of action by using my Dormammu and putting a trauma and ability block. There should be trauma and stun on Dormammu, and it didn't work because he resisted. Dormammu gets an insane amount of resistance per enemy mystic. All right, so now no one is going to be able to. The other thing too is, by the way, is he can't stealth because of the disrupt, which is huge. I may have forgotten that at the time, but that was huge. So once you kill Dormammu, this team is in a lot of trouble. Even though they get that revive once mechanic, Dormammu is a big part of what gets them going. So there you go. So she stuns him. All right. And you can see things are well in hand. Now we've got our die, Dormammu ultimate. And now, okay, so he can ult. Doom can ult. And I maybe should have played around that, but it didn't matter. At this point, my team's got all that barrier, so they can eat an Icarus ult, they can eat a Doom ult, and be fine because of the extra barrier. And they were all at full health. Dormammu had already done his ult, etc. In fact, Wong is still standing. It's the value of a big Wong. Just barely, but he's standing. And now we can go here, and you can see with the swirly ultimate move, strange, huge, 700 something K damage. Very cool. Yeah. So this was a pretty convincing fight. One thing I hope this showed you, by the way. So I think there's a couple of things I learned from this fight. One is, you just saw from the last couple of fights, Dormammu and Doom are still a pretty potent combo. Those characters are still very much worth it. They're definitely very good characters. You can see Dormammu giving another life to that team even after he dies. And then I would also just say that Dormammu still has value, I think, on the Darkhold team. I don't know if they designed it that way deliberately or not, but I think Scarlet Witch eventually is going to have another home. And I think in the meantime, in Arena, I think people may be using Dormammu on this team. In War, they'll probably use Scarlet Witch because then they can put Dormammu on another team. It's all about spreading your characters out and getting the most value, okay? But I think, what does this tell me about this team overall? I think obviously it's a strong team. It's as strong as advertised. It's a huge power leap in this game, just like the first time we got Black Order or the first time we got Infinity Watch, or it's just sort of like, okay, this team is so much better than everything else that it's just so powerful, it just beats everything in the game. I think this team basically does that. It's not unbeatable when you have the right team on the other side. It's not entirely unbeatable, but it's awfully, awfully good and certainly going to be worth getting. The question, of course, remains, how exactly will we be getting Morgan Le Fay and then, of course, other horsemen, and then how hard will it be to get her at the sort of star level you see here? All right, guys, if you like this video, smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel. If you got comments, questions, cheers, jeers, happy, sad, angry, mad, put it in the comments below. Or go to my Discord. That's linked below. You can also go to my Twitch stream. That's linked below, too.